Hi, welcome to today's Facebook Live. I am just going to give everybody a couple of seconds to log in. As usual, can somebody just drop a comment that you can hear me, see me okay, and things like that? Again, depending on where, I'm not broadcasting this everywhere today, but it is going to a couple of different platforms. So if you make a comment, StreamYard won't let me see your name unless you've given them permission. So, okay, great. I can see some of you are logging in now. So, what are we talking about today? We are talking about numbers. Do the numbers tell the story, the real story? Do they tell the truth? And if so, how much of the truth do they tell? For those of you that know, what I have been trialing out, and it's actually been doing it in my team before I roll it out to my external clients, is a new way of managing the numbers. And I'm actually going to share some of the results with you so you can see the outcome as well. Now, before we do that, the numbers tell the story, but we all know numbers can be manipulated, and numbers alone don't mean anything if you don't know how to interpret them correctly. Now, for the purpose of this, my team, I got them to record the data as just an applicant tracking system and things like that. But in this case, we actually done it manually as well. And there is some logic to that madness, which I will explain shortly. So we used Google Docs, right? So you can use whatever platform, whatever tool you like. But the reason I got my team to track it separately was I wanted to really break the data down. That wasn't as easy to break down and manipulate out of bullhorns. That's one of the reasons why I done it. Second reason I done it was it gave the team accountability. They were looking at it, they were engaging with it themselves, and they were getting curious. But I will come to that. I will give you more details on that in a second. But you all know that I believe we should be looking at our fiscal year in 12-week blocks. You always hear me say that. And that's because I believe if by sort of like end of Q2, halfway through the year, you're not on budget or budgeted, or close to, the likelihood of catching up is not impossible. It's just really hard. And of course, last year being an exception to the rule, there were stuff way outside of everybody's control. So let's get into it. What am I actually talking about? I'm going to start off by sharing some of the data we extracted on a week-by-week basis. And we started this obviously beginning of January, and the data goes to Friday last week. And I've only taken it for one of my team. So what we realized, and we had an idea before, but now we know it as fact, one of my individuals in my team has to do 5 online engagements before somebody actually engages in a conversation. Now, to be clear, that could be emails, could be a LinkedIn post, could be a tweet, could be anything. We did not break it, nor did I want to break it down. We bundled that together. The same individual went from those verbal conversations to what we call full screens. So this is not interviewing for a particular role. This is actually in candidate engagement and listening to what the candidate is saying once, rather than saying, here's a job. And again, I want to be clear. This number also includes referrals, includes headhunting and things like that, which we did track, but I'm not going to break all of that information down. For 1 in 2.8. So I'm going to round that up. So for every 3 people he had a verbal conversation with, it went to a full screen. Take that a little bit further. We tracked it to unique submittals as well. So again, in this case, for every verbal conversation that was had, I had to speak to 6 people before a candidate actually went into the process with a client. Now, I want to be clear here. We're also talking in terms of verbals. It includes the passive candidates, it includes active candidates. Again, we have the data broken down even further, but that's beyond the scope of today. So I also want to talk about why we're measuring unique rather than submittals. Here's the thing. The numbers, if you just measure submittals, same candidate gets sent to 3 companies. Great, that's 3 submittals, but it's only ever going to be 1 invoice. It's only ever going to be 1 invoice. You've still got 2 clients that are going to be disappointed. So it's important to measure the unique submissions as well. Now, just breaking that down a little bit further. For every 1.5 candidates submitted, went to first interview. So you can round that down, you can round that up, and then going back to the unique, for every 6 unique candidates that were submitted, 1 went to offer. And the interesting thing is, because of this is perms and because of the cutoff period, the truth of the matter is that number's actually better because 2 more offers came in, but they came in Monday this week. So those numbers are going to be reflected in Q2, but the activity was done Q1. So that's just some of the numbers. I actually wrote it down. If I put those 2 offers into the current quarter, so my current fiscal year, if I was to kind of manipulate the number and put that offer as Friday last week instead of this week, it actually means 1 in 4.2 submittals go to offer with this particular individual. But here's the thing. This particular individual is now going into Q2 with a solid $120,000. And that's damn good, even if I say so myself. All the hard work he has done. And most of you are probably looking at it and saying, oh my God, Suki, aren't you scared that someone's now going to start headhunting your team? No, go for it. Because you all know that I'm a firm believer you cannot headhunt somebody that doesn't want to be headhunted. So I'll put that out there as well. But here's the thing. These results were not achieved just by looking at the data. There's 2 other parts to this that came in. So for the whole of we've always had what we call a safe zone. That is one of the cardinal rules in our team, in our business. Make your mistakes here. Make your learning here. There is nothing, I always say to my team, there is nothing, no mistake that you can make that cannot be rectified, but only if we know about it. So we took our safe zone 1 stage further. Since January, Monday mornings, 10 a.m. It is dedicated, scheduled time in all of our diaries, and we meet. Now, of course, sometimes that's remote and what have you, but we've got an hour in the diary minimum. And that is not me dissecting numbers and things like that. That is us going into coaching mode, creating a safe zone where the individuals are able to actually talk about what they think is important, what they need. One of the things I typically tend to start, though, in fact, Monday is a prime example. What do you need? It wasn't what I thought they needed. I've got a pretty good idea with my coaching mindset, but here's the thing. They need to be able to recognize where they need the support. And again, I want to be clear here. That support is not necessarily, let me help you close a deal. Let me help you make a sales call. Let me help you with this. No. It's none of that. It's about mindset. It's about what they perceive as challenges. It's about allowing them to come to the table with their concerns, with the areas where they're freaking out. And that also includes the personal piece. Last year was really hard for all of us. We cannot be expecting anybody in our team right now to be firing on all cylinders 24 hours a day. It just doesn't happen. We can't be expecting that. So if you create a zone, a safe zone where they are able to just say, yeah, I'm having a shitty time, and this is why. It allows you as a leader to explore that further. It allows you, again, it's beyond the scope of today, but it allows you to see what you can take off their plate, if that's the right course of action, where you support them, how you can support them. And sometimes, honestly, it's just a question of listening. It's just a question of listening, because here's what's going to happen. You're going to be tempted to jump in and give a solution, because we listen to answer rather than listen to understand. So it's really important with this bit. You as a leader are just listening to understand. You may end up at the end of it giving some observation, giving some guidance, giving some advice. Again, it depends what we're talking about, but do not jump in. And here's the other piece that's going to happen here. I kind of knew it already, but it validated it when, and again, I'm going to go back to Monday as an example. Just the collaboration between the team, supporting each other, that in others peers, supporting each other was fantastic to watch, because that allowed that team building to happen even further. It allowed each and every one of them to see that the other person, that they're not alone. And to be honest, I think I maybe talked in total 10, 15 minutes. The rest of the time, it was just the team talking it, discussing it, and things like that. Again, I don't want to go into detail because I don't want to breach confidentiality, but that's what Mondays has been. And over and above that, of course, there's the offline support and things like that. That's the second piece. Third piece, you all know I'm a numbers person. Okay, so I'm not saying we don't measure numbers. That happens separately. That, in our case, happens Friday afternoon, 1:30, half an hour. That is it. And that literally is looking at the numbers and really helping identify where an individual is successful, where they need the help, or where they tend to have better results and things like that. And really, really pushing the unique candidate perspective of it as well. Really pushing and asking the question, how many unique candidates are coming into the process? Because as I said earlier, you can only place a person once. And it really is just sitting there and helping identify, are you really working closest to the dollar, or are you working path of least resistance? It also allows you to identify, are there roles where the individual may have a mindset block? Are there roles where we actually have a problem with the client? The client is a problem, or the money is a problem, or whatever that may be. We explore that on a Friday, because now we're exploring simple facts. Simple facts, simple numbers. You either made a call or you didn't make a call. You either got a candidate into process or you didn't get a candidate into process. We leave the whys, the curiosity part, the explanation part for the Monday. What this done, certainly what I found as a leader, what I found the first couple of weeks, or maybe about a month, I really had to, on those Friday calls, push back the excuses. Oh, market, there's not enough candidates, and I'm just making these up. Client hasn't returned my call, or this hasn't happened, and I was doing this, and I was doing this. But once they started seeing that, again, back to the safe zone, this isn't about hiring them or firing them. This is about what are the numbers really, really saying, because you can be really, really busy doing amazing things, putting up the latest stats on LinkedIn, beautiful ads and stuff like that. But if you're not engaging, actually doing the engaging part, the interview part, that's the piece that makes money in our business, right? So it really allowed everybody to see where they were spending their energy and where they were burning their energy, where they were spinning their wheels, and what the return was. The other thing that happened through that was, after a while, you'll find people, the team will start looking at those numbers on a Friday. First of all, they're self-analyzing now. So by the end of month one, they're self-analyzing. They're looking at it and saying, "Oh, I've got 10 jobs on and I've only got 2 candidates out." So what we found started happening was, much earlier on in the week, they would start self-managing in a completely different way. And that's not about hitting an outbound metric. My guys do not have outbound dial metrics per se. They don't have it. They now are, and they used to, and they've got a guideline. We thought we had the averages sorted out beginning of the year, but now that's it. The only goal my guys have is their revenue target. Everything else, I'm now at a position where I'm able to get them to recognize what activity they need to do, and they just go and do it. And that's the truth of the matter. That is how, as I said, one of them already has all of Q2's his Q2 target done. Imagine being able to go into the following quarter, the following month, with 50%, 60% of your revenue target done. The other piece I should add to this was, those of you that know Dave, Dave is very, very high energy, but he's sometimes that attention to detail, crunching numbers and all the rest of it, isn't an area he loves doing, the admin part of it. But what actually started happening must have been about 4 weeks ago, maybe a little bit less. He actually started looking at it and saying, "Oh my God, I've got all this stuff happening. I'm so busy with the live orders and things like that," that he himself saw his time energy is going closest to the dollar, which is now, but he also saw the gap and the potential problem that was coming on his desk for Q2. So he was able to course correct, look at it. I knew that was happening, but I didn't say that to him, that that's where he's going if things don't change, because that defeats the purpose of the exercise that I'm talking about. It's about getting your team to be able to really, really understand their own data. It's about getting them to look at it and say, "Okay, I don't need to make 300 dials today. I need to be talking to more candidates," or, "You know what, I haven't got enough job orders on," or whatever the case may be. It allows them to take a look at their own desk and make the course correct themselves for the most part. But as I said, this ain't going to work if you get everybody to just focus on the numbers and dissect the numbers. You must have the Monday piece with it, or whatever day of the week it is that you decide that you're going to do that. You must have that in place, because the Friday piece, that's all you are doing, is beating the crap out of people without telling them what they need to do. You're barking orders at them, but there's no learning happening there. So that's what you need to do. I say start looking at your year as a 12 weeks, so each quarter, right? Do the exercise that I'm talking about, and what you'll find is but here's the thing, most of you won't do it. Let's be honest here. Why won't you do it? Because it's time consuming. It really is. And the mindset is 10 a.m. Monday morning, you should all be selling. Well, the piece I'm going to say to that is, the time slots are booked out throughout the whole day. So You've just got to pick a time and you've got to run with it. You have to run with it. But as I said, most people won't do this because it's time consuming. It's time consuming. It is really getting in the trenches. And the other part of it is, especially if you're running a desk yourself, you've got to bring your numbers to the table as well. You can't sit there and expect everybody else to have their numbers and you're not leading by example. So that's all I've got for you today. Look at it as a 12-week, look at each quarter as a 12-week fiscal year. Start putting these processes in place. Start looking at your numbers, but measure the numbers that are going to move the dial. Excuse me. Measure the numbers that are going to move the dial in your business. Only you know what those numbers are. I'm going to be rolling this program out because you guys know before I actually roll something out, I work in my team with it and we get rid of all the creeps and the learnings and all the rest of it. And then we've done that. So I am going to be rolling this out. So true, leading by example is key. Absolutely, Ross. And I don't give a toss whether you are head of the largest agency. I don't care whether you're head of Randstad. I don't care whether you're head of Manpower. It really doesn't matter. If you're not leading by example, and there's different ways to lead, I get that. Then how can you ask your people to do it? So as I said, I'm going to be rolling this out in my coaching program. So if you want to know more, talk to me about that and happy to chat. But here's the thing, guys. This has taken me 3 solid months to put together and have the data. Whilst I'm absolutely happy to talk it through with people, I'm not going to give you the final piece because that's stuff that I've worked on. But it also, I don't want to be giving you guys a sheet, then you guys saying this doesn't work when you haven't put the rest of the pieces together. You simply can't do that, because if you're going to do that, you might as well carry on the way you are, right? So anyhow, on that note, I am going to love you and leave you. Next week, we have Mark in the group, and he's going to be talking about working from home, some of the best practices. And also, it's funny because him and I were talking this morning, and he was saying how busy things are. And interestingly enough, that's created even more stress for those people that are already stressed working from home. So last year, people were stressed working from home because there was no orders coming in and things like that. Now that stress is still there. And now they're stressed because all the orders are coming in. So make sure you tune in for that. I will put up the details on that one. I've had a number of you reach out and say you want to be on some of the panels and interviews and things like that. Great. Tell me what you want to talk about. If it's going to add value to my audience, absolutely not a problem. Happy to do that, but reach out and we can talk about whatever subject area. And as I said, if I think it's going to add value, absolutely, I'll bring you in and we can do a Facebook Live or we can do an interview. So yeah, reach out to me on that front. So anyhow, on that note, I will see you all later. Bye for now.